push the button in the bottom.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm going to keep the microphone hard on my chest, so I'm not waving it around like this so that you wouldn't hear me. Well, this is a reminiscence of my sweet wife, Emily, and I thought I'd tell you about some things that I remember from the past. Not a lot. One of the things was our first date. I remember it clearly. She was 15 years old. I was 18. We had two friends that got us the date, that arranged the date. And I realized at once that this was a special lady. And I continued to date her. We had 5 years and then we got married. So that was a special occasion. And another one was when we got the engagement ring. My mother's, let's see if I get this right. My mother's aunt's sister's husband was a jeweler. And we were told to go to him and get an engagement ring. We picked one out, and he said, "Here, take this over to Macy's. Nothing else, just the ring. Take it over to Macy's and get it appraised." Well, it was a little bit of a walk to do that. We walked for about 2 or 3 blocks. We were afraid someone was going to rob us, and how were we going to explain this? There was no paperwork yet. He just gave it to us and said, "Have it appraised." And it was pretty close to what he said. Another thing was, let's see, I thought of 2 different things. We were late one day. We had a surprise party for her. What do you call it? To celebrate the marriage and get some gifts. Yeah. And it was a surprise for her. We were walking and we were late. We walked. She kept saying, "What's the hurry? What's the hurry?" Well, no, I'm not saying anything much. And we finally got there. Surprise! She really was surprised. Sometimes surprise parties, the person really knows, but she didn't know. Well, those are about 2 of the things that I could think of. There must be to talk about. There must be hundreds of things, but I was going to give it to one of the kids in birth order.
Well, thank you all for showing up. This is quite the celebration of my mom. And I really do appreciate that. And a little closer, yes, I apologize. It is difficult to sum up my feelings. I miss Mom, and I feel the world is a little dimmer now she's gone. But I must thank you all, here and far. We have other friends that are not here. So many people have reached out to me and my family, everyone with kind words. Their stories have given me strength when my knees would buckle. Mom is greatly missed, but thank you all for sharing her with me. Thank you.
It's
I'm 3 of 4, so Jane's not here. For those keeping score, I'm the 3rd child. Have to put on my glasses so I can read. I'm sure some of you are familiar with that. I'm Mark. Again, like David and my father, I'm grateful for everyone here. It's so wonderful to see everyone here. It means a lot to our family. I really thank you. Some of us are struggling right now with the loss of my mother. I'll share with you a little bit about how I feel. I mean, it feels a lot like a physical labor sometimes. It's a lot, you know. Early on, I felt it feels dissociative. Like, this is not the world I remember. I'm in a different place, you know. I guess that's shock. Let's see how long that lasts. But everyone experiences grief differently and uniquely. But we also have some shared grief. That's why we're here today. And sharing that grief eases the burden on all of us, I think. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that we can celebrate her life and all that she meant to us. My mother was my first teacher. She taught me to love generously, to be kind, empathetic, and to listen, always listen. My mother inspired in me a love of reading, of music, of cycling. You may have seen in her obituary, she used to ride all around Greensboro. I have many memories of riding with her in the Breakfast of Champions. Maybe you heard of that, where we would ride in a big group of people and end at Shoney's for breakfast. And, I'm a cyclist today. I ride as much as I can, and I can thank my mother for that. She could always be calm in chaos. She helped bring order a lot of times when there wasn't. And so she's a very stabilizing presence. And she had a very fierce determination. And we saw that especially in the last year of her life. She kept going. Even in her failing health, she continued to do things that brought her joy. And she always loved to hear from her and spend time with her family. So now our family is trying to figure out how to figure out this new normal, find our new roles. We're doing things that my mother, used to do, and just trying to figure it out. We will. And again, I thank you all for coming, and I appreciate you letting me share my thoughts and feelings with you. Thank you. So we're going to continue to pass on to family who would like to speak. Adam is next in birth order for those keeping score.
Okay.
And
Thank you. Sorry. As you said, I'm Adam. I don't have anything officially prepared. Thank you all so much for coming. It's great to see familiar faces and some not so familiar. Mom was the kindest person I've ever met. She never said anything bad about anybody, even though sometimes they may have deserved it. She was a wonderful woman. I miss her dearly. And thank you all for coming.
Hi, I'm Shelley. I'm Mark's wife. And Emily was beloved. She was cherished. And she was the best mother-in-law to 3 daughters that she lucked out to have, I guess. Or we lucked out to have her, really. She made us family before the law ever saw us as family. She made our family, our original families, are part of her family too. Our siblings, our parents were brought in to the Herman's family. Vacations, holidays, you name it, we were all one big family. It made that was something unusual, I think, and very, very special. Something a lot of us, I know I had not experienced before. She saw the uniqueness in each one of us, the three of us, and appreciated that. I know we each felt special in her presence. That was a real gift, and I was really fortunate to be able to tell her that before she passed and while she was still fully with us, how special she made me feel. Because I don't know that we all feel very special in the world sometimes. She respected our relationships with our spouses. She never got in the way of our relationships with our spouses. She never questioned who we were with her sons. We were never in competition with her. It was beautiful. And of course, she raised our favorite evolved men, and that's a whole nother story, that word. Personally, she will and always will continue to be a role model to me in how to love her family, how to find the best in others, and how to always be politically active, which was so incredibly important to her. The one thing that always has been making me tear up, especially when I rush at 2 in the morning to try to finish a book, is that she's not going to be able to finish all the books on her book list. And if anybody from her book club knows what her favorite book was, if you could share that with me, that was the one question that I didn't get to ask her that I would love to know. And a little treat that I would try to bring with me as often as I could over the years was marzipan. And I know you either love it or you hate it, but there's quite a few marzipan chocolate bars in the back on the table. So if anybody who loves marzipan would like to join me in the back afterwards to raise a bar to Emily, feel free to join me afterwards. Thank you. Anybody else? Family?
Now we're also going to pass around the mic if anyone would like to say anything. Marlene, you can say anything?
Well, you did really put me on the spot because I have several pages of notes and I couldn't find one of them to bring, which is a very interesting thing, which brings me to the point that Emily and I were unlikely friends because we were so opposite in many ways. Emily was always calm and collected, and I was always screaming and hollering. We did do a lot of things with the kids together, so that was kind of fun because we had kids that were close in age and close in mischievous thoughts. And here's 2 of them right here. They had a good time, and the moms tolerated it with a little screaming at one house, probably done at the other. I'll pass it on. I have plenty to say, but I can't say.
Oh, I just have to remind Mom that she's the one who introduced us mischievous kids so that we could get in bigger trouble together. But I had several moms growing up, my mom, Mary Ann, and your mom, and I really will miss her.
Well, I want to say I didn't know Emily as well as I would have liked to have. She had 4 children, Marlene had 4 children, I had 4 children, and it kept us very busy. I was not very politically active, and I remember feeling very bad about it because I should have been more politically active. She was a role model for me in terms of her political activism. She and all the women that were involved in that were great, great women. I was involved with the book club, not from the beginning, because I think that book club was over 53 years old, and I think she was a founder. And I came late after 25 years, and I remember being in awe at how many books they had all read. I was new to the book group, and I was embraced by them, even though I didn't read as fast or as vast as they did. I want to say that Emily kept the book group going, and she was very organized with the book group, and that was wonderful. We had a leader, we had a host, and we could really examine the books. We oftentimes got off the subject, though. I don't know if your book groups do.
I was in the book club from the beginning. So I've known Emily for more than 50 years. And I also, and Mary Ann said that she kept us organized, or we'd end up at a meeting, well, what are we doing next, and where are we meeting? And Emily just finally took it upon herself to keep us organized. And then I also knew Emily at the bridge table, and that was the most fun of all. And I have lived down the hall from them for the last 7 years here at Friends Homes West, so I've known her as a good neighbor too. And I also had her wonderful children at Lindley Junior High School when I was the librarian there, so lots of good connections, and she is just one of the loveliest people you could ever know.
Well, I was one of the people at the bridge table, and I have to say that not only did Emily not ever say anything bad about anybody, but she was full of praise and enthusiasm for her children, her spouse, her children's spouses, the grandchildren. I was just, every week we'd get together and we had a new update on, somebody's gymnastics match or somebody's math scores, or just, and I know that her daughter-in-law's mother was a very big part of the family, and it was just always exciting to hear the latest in the Herman family. And I also have to say that she worked with and for my husband for many years. He has decided he's not going to say anything, but I will say that she was the power behind the throne. And she was also the only other person besides me who could decipher his handwriting. She always remembered his birthday long after she retired. She was just a wonderful soul, and we have been missing her little by little over the past couple of years, and I know that she will just live in all of our hearts for the rest of our lives, and it's been a wonderful gift to the Clotfelters to have had her as someone we knew.
It's all right, it's all right. Everyone has something to say. Oh, okay, good. Many people have mentioned Mom's organization skills, and I wish she was here.
Hello, I'm Terry Lamb. We arrived in Greensboro straight from the UK in 1970, fresh behind years. And Harvey and Emily were the first two people we met from the department. And they picked us up, and we were involved in the warmth, their warmth, and Emily in particular, her warmth. I remember we spent our first Thanksgiving dinner with you, Harvey, and the family as it was, and ever growing. I remember there was some delay in getting the food on the table. for lots of reasons I won't get into. But Emily was her usual cool, unflappable self, and as we got things onto the table, we had a wonderful experience. It was just wonderful. And ever since then, it's been a joy to know both Harvey and Emily. Unfortunately, I do know them from the bridge table as well. I don't think we ever beat them once, but that's okay. So thank you.
Anybody? I have someone behind me that's.
Hello, I'm Ruth Scanlon. I don't think any of the, I'm guessing most of the residents at Friends' Homes did not know how much effort and time Emily put in to serving us by keeping our liaison with NORCRA, the North Carolina Continuing Care Resident Association, with all of the mailings, with all of the memberships. When it got to the point where she could no longer handle it, she let me know, and I worked with her, and her first, in terms of trying to get someone to replace the effort that she put into it, the first thing she said to me was, "You'll need a group of people for this." Today we have a group of people for this. But, yeah, I'm a little skeptical. She's been carrying this out for years. And then I saw the 3 cartons of papers that she kept in terms of, so that she could keep up and be sure of everything that she did with this organization. She also had a spreadsheet, an electronic spreadsheet, thank goodness. But I did not know Emily well until then. I have so much respect for her. I have for her intelligence, for her ability to keep it all organized, for her equanimity. That nothing seemed to bother her. And I'm glad I had that chance to get to know her.
Anybody on this side? It's okay. It's all part of the process. I'm on this floor.
It's a gift to hear y'all's stories.
Oh. I feel like Donahue.
I had the privilege of working with Emily in the office at UNC Greensboro, and she was the most positive person to be around. And I compliment whoever put this photo show together, because
That's bad.
it's just absolutely wonderful, and makes us feel ever more close to Emily this day, because we get to see her as we knew her, each of us individually, and we're so grateful for the fact that we could share life with her, and it is wonderful to see everybody here today to support the family and be remembering Emily. I will share one story with you that has to do with the family. My daughter wanted to go to a Duran Duran concert a long time ago, and I was mentioning this to Emily, and as it turned out, it was either Adam or Mark. I'm not sure which one sat next to me, but she gave me the best advice I think I had received to that date. She said, "Mary, wear earplugs." So here's to Emily. Thank you.
My first contact with Emily was during COVID, and when we were required to wear masks, and she was one of the individuals that organized many of us here that were still sewing to make masks, made sure that every individual that was a resident here got the first mask. So I can attest to the fact that she was giving, she organized and got things done, and we were always ready to help her when she required some help.
Who's got a hand? Let's see.
I don't think anyone has dressed her
membership and action in the League of Women Voters. Emily was very active. She and I staffed a table down in Martin Luther King Drive at a strip mall to get people enrolled in insurance, get them to apply after the Affordable Care Act was passed. We went to GTCC in Wendover to do work. She was just very active. And yes, bridge was a big part of her life. My husband Steve and I played with Harvey and Emily monthly for a long time. Steve and I will miss her greatly.
That hand up over here. Mix it up. Give him a step down.
I'm Carolyn Allen, and I was one of the best things that happened to me was Emily. I was chair of the State League of Women Voters for a term or so, and I think it was Emily that kept me out of jail. Keeping our funds straight, which I couldn't do, and in many other ways over the course of my life have found her not only a marvelous friend, but a brilliant collaborator in many, many efforts.
I'm Joe Malcolm, and you never want to give a UNCG professor the opportunity to say something. I always regret it. What I remember about him, she had the cleanest house. Good night. We'd go over there to visit, and you could eat off the floor. She had 4 kids. We only had 2, and our house was a mess. I couldn't believe it. I had this big old fluffy cat. Anybody who loves cats is great in my book. So immediately I saw that cat. Emily's okay. That's fine. No that. She had this piano. I always admired that piano. We'd go over there, and there was a nice little piano sitting there. And nobody seemed to ever play it, but it was there. So I managed to get a stipend at UNCG for a project over the summer. Gave me a little money, and since I thought, well, I earned that money, I said, hey, Harvey, that piano you got, you ever think of selling that? He said, yeah, nobody ever plays it. So I bought their piano. I thought I was going to deprive Emily of some great joy in her life, playing the piano. I always felt bad about that. Then I found out she bought it for Jane, so Jane would be a concert pianist. That was a complete failure. It didn't make me a concert pianist either. But I do have it, I do enjoy it, and every now and then I think of Emily when I see that piano. The last thing was, it was no nonsense Emily. Good night. A catastrophe would befall somebody or something, or what, something would happen. Oh, well, what? Didn't seem to be a big deal to her. She fell down the basement steps and banged up her face. And we finally got to see her, and good night. What a situation here, Emily. I mean, how did this happen? We were horrified that this happened to you. Oh, well, I guess I just missed the first step. I don't know. But nothing seemed to rattle her. Y'all have known her better than we did, but she always seemed to be calm, cool, and collected. Nothing seemed to shake her calmness in any kind of storm. So those are my thoughts about Emily. Thank you.
I would add, after she fell down the stairs, broke her neck, 2 vertebrae, time in the hospital, time recovering at home. And afterwards, she said, you know, they shaved a little bone back here, and my neck feels a lot better. So she could turn things around. Anyone else? Have I missed anyone? Anybody? It's okay. It's okay now. Oh, Nina, yes, thank you.
I'll say before Steph.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Anita Prado, or who don't recognize me, since I recognize some of you from, I was smaller then, probably. I remember when Harvey and Emily moved to the neighborhood, they first moved to the Robin Hood Apartments, and it was interesting that none of our parents ever questioned when one of us kids would go get a shovel and leave the house. But it was the site of the old Vicks factory, the very first ever Vicks factory, and there was a place near an old building in the middle of it that was a field on one side and what almost looked like a graveyard to be on the other, and we would go dig there for Vicks bottles, and actually find quite a few, but we only kept the pristine ones. Emily and Harvey and Chris and Marianne were always our emergency contacts at school for the 4 Prado kids. I didn't have their addresses memorized, but we had their phone numbers memorized, because if something happened at school and they couldn't get a hold of our parents, they knew that they could call Emily and Harvey or Chris and Marianne, and somebody would be findable. I was lucky that David and Jane were close, because David and Jane and Alec and I roamed the neighborhood as a pack of 4. And Jane is a little bit younger than me, but the age difference didn't seem to make much of a difference, because it was the 4 of us doing things. Jane takes after Emily in some great, great ways. She still bikes, and she probably kept me out of jail, being a voice of reason at times. One of my earliest memories of Emily is of Emily and Harvey in our kitchen making homemade ravioli for Thanksgiving. And then she would go home, and the next day, Thanksgiving Day, she would get up and cook the turkey as well. So I think Joe might have been the one who brought the jug of wine most of the time, but yeah, the adults would be making the ravioli, and the kids would be looking, going, that's a lot of work. It's a good thing it's good to eat. She may have been good at bridge, but I can tell you that, and I think it's Pictionary, the game where you play it in teams, and one person on the team gets a word or a phrase or something like that, and they have to draw it, and the rest of the team has to try to guess it. Emily and Amelia and I were on a team one year. I have not played that game since. The entire everybody else would be going, oh, and we would be going, we were, for 3 people who could agree on so many things, we couldn't read each other's drawings to save our lives. Emily was also left-handed, which was really cool, because it's nice, as Mark knows, it's nice to be left-handed and have a left-handed parent. It does mean that your left-handedness is accepted as valid. You know, even though, as with Mark, my lefty was my dad. So opposite genders, but still the same handedness, which was helpful. And it also meant that Mark and I could be left-handed when we would go to play softball, which is my other really fond memory of Emily and my mom. gathering the small herd of children and going back to that field at Robin Hood and playing softball there, or at least something that resembled it somewhat. But Emily's organizational skills, she was probably underpaid because they were legion, and it showed with her kids, and it still shows with her kids, all 4 of them, for which I am grateful, because you guys are part of my Thanksgiving family.
Do I have anyone else? Have I missed anyone? Everybody looks shy now. Anybody? You have another story?
I have a funny story.
Okay.
I was shocked to hear that Harvey and Emily and all 4 kids lived in an apartment at one point in time, a 3-bedroom apartment. I was very, very shocked. And I asked her one day, I said, how did you live in an apartment with this family of 6? And she said, I spent a lot of my brain time planning my escape. Very dry sense of humor, as those of us who knew her knew well.
Is there anyone? Don't be shy. Okay. Well, since we've all had a chance to talk, and I do appreciate it, I thought we'd just take a moment of silence and think sweet thoughts about Mom. Once again, thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate it. She would too. She would absolutely love to see every one of you. I know she was a friend to all. Thank you again.